welcome back to my channel. So this is the next video in my data pipelines with Azure series. So in the previous video, we understood what a data pipeline is and why it is important. Now in this video, we are going to go deeper and understand the core concepts of Azure data pipelines. So now we will talk about what components make a pipeline, what activities actually do, and what linked services and datasets are. And finally, we will learn about what integration runtime is and why it is important. Now, don't worry if this feels confusing right now. I will explain everything step by step with examples in a very simple way. Now, first, let's clearly understand what a data pipeline is. Now, the data pipeline is a logical flow of work. It means it is not just one task, but it is a sequence of steps that tells where the data comes from and what actions we perform on the data and where the data finally goes. So just think of a pipeline like a water pipeline. It means the water flows from source and it passes through the filters and finally it reaches your house. In the same way, data also flows from the source, gets processed and finally reaches the destination. Now, let's understand why pipelines are so important. So today, organizations generate huge amounts of data every day. So the data can be the customer data, sales data, website data, or even the application logs. So, most of the companies move this data to the cloud because cloud platforms like Azure can handle large scale processing. But data is useful only when it is clean and ready. So, here the data pipeline helps to move the data faster, clean and transform it, and make it ready for analytics and decision making. So, without pipelines, data becomes messy and unusable. Now let's talk about the Azure. So here Azure provides two main services to build the pipelines. The first one is the Azure Data Factory and the second one is Azure Synapse Pipelines. So here both services are the cloud based and it contains low code and especially it is designed for large scale data movement and transformation. So here they help us connect it to hundreds of data sources and move the data automatically. So in the real projects, you may use either ADF, it means the Azure Data Factory, or Synapse pipelines depending on the requirement. Now, the pipeline components is very important here. A pipeline here is not created using one single thing. It is built using multiple components. So, the main components here are activities, linked services, datasets, integration runtime. So, if you understand these four clearly, you can easily build pipelines in Azure. So, now let's understand each component one by one. Coming to the activities. So, activities are the heart of your pipeline. So, an activity is an action that we perform on the data. There are three main types of activities here. The first one is the data movement, second is data transformation, third is the control flow. So, first is data movement. It means copying data from one place to another. Example, copying the data from SQL Server to data lake. And the second one is data transformation. It means changing the data. Example, filtering records, joining tables, or even aggregating the values. Third is the control flow. It means how the pipeline runs. It controls how the pipeline runs. Example, conditions, loops, or running activities one after another. So here, every pipeline is basically a collection of activities. Now let's talk about the linked services. A linked service contains the connection details. For example, if you want to connect to a SQL Server database, you actually need the server name, username, and the password. So all this information is stored in a linked service. So basically, you can think of the linked service as a connection string. So here the most important point is linked service is the first thing you create in your data pipeline. So without it, you cannot connect to any data source. Now comes the data sets. So data set represents the structure of the data. It does not store data itself, but it just tells what the data looks like. Example, we can say a table inside a database and a file inside a data lake. So here data sets act as input for activities and output for activities. So whenever an activity reads or writes the data, it uses the data sets. Now let's talk about one of the most important concepts, that is integration runtime. Now, integration runtime is the compute engine. It actually performs the work such as copying data, running transformations, and executing the data flows. So you can design pipelines and activities. But without integration runtime, nothing will run. So integration runtime decides where the code runs and how the data is moved. So there are three types of integration runtimes. The first one is the Azure integration runtime, and the next one is self-hosted runtime, and the third one is Azure SSIS runtime. So coming to the first one, this is usually used for cloud-based data movement and transformation. And the second one, self-hosted, is used when the data is inside a private network or on premises. And the third one, Azure SSIS, is used to run existing SSIS package in the Azure. So, choosing the correct integration runtime depends on where your data is located and how secure it is. Now, let's connect everything together. So, a data pipeline contains activities, and activities uses datasets, and finally datasets connect to data using the linked services, and all these activities run using the integration runtime. So all these components work together like a system. So once you understand this relationship, Azure Data Factory becomes much easier. So in this video, we clearly understood pipeline components, activities, linked services, data sets, and integration runtimes. So this knowledge is very important before doing hands-on. And in the next videos, I will come up with more videos and more content. And if this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll keep uploading more videos in this series. Thank you so much for watching and happy learning.